It was briefly for the Dow, Dave. Now it's slipped off that record 36,000 plus record close. It's down about 90 points. S&P off by 5 and NASDAQ more than 7. This as investors wait to hear what the Fed has to say when its two-day meeting wraps up. One big winner today, Bed Bath & Beyond, surging more than 30% this morning. It'll be launching a digital marketplace selling goods from third parties. And ADP out with jobs numbers showing 571,000 added by companies in October, thanks to a boost in hospitality hires. Dave?
Lily, the price of oil's down big today. $2, back under $82 a barrel. Gas is up a fraction again. AAA's national average for regular now a little more than $3.40 per gallon. And even more things we buy will cost more amid rising inflation.
Mondelez, the maker of Oreo cookies and wheat thins, is raising prices around the world to stay ahead of higher costs. Mondelez says it's paying more for ingredients, transportation, and wages. Its workers ended a strike in September and accepted a new 4-year contract. It has also been cutting back on discounts and has backed off production of less popular items. Ginny Coselda, Fox News.
Henry Ruggs is now a former NFL player, released by the Raiders the day after a deadly car crash.
Ruggs was driving a Corvette at a high speed that hit into the rear of a Toyota RAV4, which became engulfed by flames. Ruggs and his passenger, the mother of his child, both suffered serious injuries, but not life-threatening. Henry Ruggs III, a first-round draft pick last year, who was the Raiders' leading wide receiver this season with 469 yards, was charged with the felony of driving under the influence of alcohol resulting in death and reckless driving. Both charges carry potential prison sentences.
That's Jared Max. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
In 1 minute. WPTV First Alert Weather on WSTU is brought to you by Code Red Roofers. Code Red Roofers cares and calls you back. Shows up and finishes on time. 287-2829. Code Red Roofers, the roofers who respond. Now here's the First Alert meteorologist.
This afternoon, highs in the low to mid-80s, partly sunny skies with a slim chance for an isolated shower, mainly inland. Tomorrow, highs in the mid-80s, increasing clouds ahead of our next cold front, and the chance for those afternoon to evening showers and thunderstorms. Friday, highs in the low 80s, cloudy with scattered showers and storms as the front stalls out across the area. Some of those storms could be on the stronger side, mainly late Friday. Saturday, rain and some storms to start off the day, then clearing conditions throughout the day, highs in the low 80s. I'm WPTV First Alert Meteorologist Katya Hall for WSTU 1450, Martin County's Heritage Station.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jensen Beach, Hope Sound, Martin County's Heritage Station.
It's time now for the Casey Ingram Show on WSTU. The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not necessarily those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time to call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788, 220-WSTU. And now, here's Casey Ingram.
Good morning, Stuart, and the Treasure Coast. We're back here. I say it every Wednesday. I'm a broken record, but it's another beautiful Wednesday here in South Florida, and I have a wonderful guest in the studio who is really in the pulse of Martin County, Tom Campenni from Friends and Neighbors. How are you doing today, Tom?
Hey, Casey. How are you? So good to be back.
Oh, I love having you in the studio, and I can't wait to hear the updates. But before I do that, Tom, I have to reach out and thank my sponsors. First of all, you folks, Indiantown Marina. What a great marina it is here in Martin County, and it's super safe because it's a hurricane safe hull that is over in Indiantown. It's way off the coast a little bit, and a perfect place to keep your boat safe. And what's wonderful about it is it's also a do-it-yourself and full-service boat yard. Those are tough to find, and you have the best of both worlds this way. They do electrical, mechanical, prop and shaft work, bottom painting, complete boat painting, boat seating. You need a place to store your boat. That's the place to take it. So Indiantown Marina, you can reach those fine folks at 772-631-3272. That's 631-3272. Also, forbearances, working remotely, internet shopping, retail space, and rental income have been hit hard by COVID. If you are looking to restructure your debt, obtain financing or equity, Commercial Mortgage can help you out. Tim Mullen at Commercial Mortgage has been providing debt restructuring services since 2003. Tim never charges a front fee, and all consultations are free. Tim only gets paid if he provides you a debt workout. Looking for a debt solution or financing? Give Tim a call at 772-872-6099. That's 872-6099, or visit commercialmortgagellc.com to schedule your free consultation. And finally, folks, if you have not been out to the Fish House in Port Salerno, oh my goodness, what a fun place to go. It's the Fish House Art Center, and there's so much happening out there. You can come by boat or stroll the boardwalk, explore what's the best kept secret in the area has to offer. They have local artists, an Airbnb, art gallery, boat charters, a marina, craft and creamery with craft beers, wine, and 24 flavors of ice cream. So you have something there for the entire family, clearly. Also, bike rentals, sales, and accessories are available at Kraken Bikes and Boards. And if you're a beach person, you need some accessories or a new paddleboard, they have you covered at Liquid Aloha. So check them out. Fish Art Center. It's in Port Salerno. The website, thefishhouseartcenter.com, and you can reach them at 772-221-5482, 772-221-5482. And finally, folks, this is going to be really fun that's coming up, Tom, and this is something new from the Martin County Fair, the Carnival of Lights. It's presented by the Martin County Fair Association. And it's going to be a tradition that's going to happen here every year. So every weekend, beginning November 26th until Christmas, they're going to have music, crafts, foods, rides, the Martin County Model Railroad Club, and so much more. You can go out there. There's going to be Christmas trees all over. They have sponsors that have sponsored these trees, and they're going to be decorated. It's going to be a winter wonderland right here in Martin County. So that's going to be a lot of fun. The admission is just $10, and if you're 12 and under, it's free. So you can find out more at martincountyfair.com. And give them a call, 772-220-3247. But again, that's every weekend, and it starts 5:30 to 9, Friday through Sunday. So Tom Campenni, friends and neighbors.
Yes. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm wonderful, and I love seeing you around town. We've had a few events. We've ran into each other in the last few weeks, and there's always something happening here in Martin County, and your friends and neighbors keeps a tab on the pulse of the county.
Well, I try, and it's really a pleasure to do it. However, I just want to make a general observation about Martin County. 20 years ago when I came down here, I always thought that Martin County, and Florida for that matter, was a bastion of the free market, of being someplace where government did not intrude. Boy, was I wrong. Martin County and unions are a pretty big factor here, just as much of a factor as they were in the Northeast. And when people say, oh, we don't have unions, that's not true. We have municipal unions and county unions, and they drive a big boat. So that's a general statement, and we'll get into specifics, I guess, as time goes.
We definitely will. And just to give folks, I'm sure most of you are familiar with Tom Campenni, but I'll say a little bit about your background in case you are not familiar with Tom. He's a native of New York City, and for more than 40 years, he was an entrepreneur who started and owned many businesses, including contracting and construction, bars, now that's fun, restaurants, fun stuff, and commercial properties. Since 71, he's been a licensed real estate professional, and you still currently hold a license in Florida and New York. Tom has been interested in politics and government since he was a kid, and in the 70s he worked on many political campaigns for federal, state, and local offices. He moved full-time to Stewart in 2006, and he became a Stewart City Commissioner for 4 years, and he currently serves on the Stewart Community Redevelopment Board and Martin County's Park and Recreation Board. Tom began Friends and Neighbors while he was a Stewart City Commissioner so he could inform his constituents about what was happening in their city government. And that really was one of the first times I've seen that, Tom, and it was wonderful to have a commissioner take the time weekly to put out a newsletter to let the constituents know, because not everybody watches the meetings or has time to go to them. So that was wonderful.
Well, in those days, they didn't record the Stewart
There wasn't even a
meetings at
recording
all.
to go back and look.
No, so
You reached them. And it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
And since that's when you started Friends and Neighbors, and now you cover all of Martin County's various municipal governments, county government, and the school board. Tom, you believe the government at local level has the most impact on citizens, and I could not agree with you more on that. And so now you have over 20,000 subscribers. So, folks, Friends and Neighbors at martincounty.com. If you want to become a subscriber, it doesn't cost a thing, and tons of information that comes out bi-weekly.
that's correct. And you can go to my Facebook page, Friends and Neighbors, and easily get to the newsletter if you want. But since it's free, just sign up for it. It's really easy, and we'd love to have more, because the more we have, the more we can influence what goes on in the county.
Information is power. And Tom, you also have other contributors, and you're always welcome to have other contributors that are not currently with you submit something.
Absolutely. I think we have about 25 contributors now.
Wonderful.
And it has a broad spectrum of Martin County people. Anything from a couple of commissioners to a couple of curmudgeons to
we
have
won't say
someone
who
from
the curmudgeons
No,
are.
we're not going to say that. We have David Hafner from the Farm Bureau. In fact, we have Mike Meyer, who doesn't write on city business, but he writes as a farmer. So I think that's a great thing. We have the Boys and Girls Club. We have United Way. We have Missy Campbell from Palm City. We have MCT, Martin County Taxpayers Association. And in the last couple of months, we started with the constitutional officers. If they want to have anything, announce anything, we give them that spot. And they can do so, because I think they were shortchanged. And it was hard to find out what was going on. So I wanted to make that available.
So, folks, this is really a wonderful publication. As Tom was talking about some of his contributors, a couple of them were agricultural related. I mean, that's something this county has missed the boat on for years, is covering agricultural issues. And, our local paper's not local anymore. So we do have a local paper now that's it's online. It's an e-edition.
If anyone's listening that's in the marine industries, I'd love to run a column on them, especially someone who does fishing for a living. I would love for them to be a regular contributor, because I think between the maritime industries and agriculture, we miss a whole bunch of what goes on in Martin County. Because, if you're in the east, you don't have any idea, even though the water's in the east, but you just don't have any idea, especially if you're coming down from up north, how much that contributes to our economy.
No, and both of those are lifebloods of this community. We've always said the river is, and certainly water is, but agriculture is a really huge part, not just of our community, but the entire state. So,
and if we want to keep it, we need to cherish it.
Definitely. So, Tom, we're going to go through some of the different municipalities today, and you cover Martin County, Stewart, Indiantown, Jupiter Island, the school board, Sewell's Point, and Ocean Breeze.
That's our municipalities and mostly our government in Martin County. I don't do things like Children's Services Council or Find, but I like to know what's going on, even in those little places. If we start with Ocean Breeze, I mean, it would probably never be incorporated today with the current legislature and rules. But when the Hoax did it back in, 1955, 1960, whenever that was, I mean, they did it so that they would skirt Martin County.
Right.
And their development rules. And they did a good job in that respect. But now, I think Ocean Breeze has evolved. It has the homes in the rear that were just built. Those are all brand new people. And so Ocean Breeze is actually three places. It is the original Ocean Breeze Resort, where they have rebuilt everything.
Okay.
And then we have the new homes in the rear, and that's gonna be several hundred people living there.
Okay. Yes.
And then they have the public shopping center. Those are the three parts of Ocean Breeze.
Okay.
Currently, Ocean Breeze is still, they don't have one person from the new homes that are on their council.
Okay.
There are, besides an elected mayor, they have 6 other people, and they're all from the park.
Okay.
And so I think that's going to be something that comes up because apparently they don't want to change the 10:30 a.m. meeting because most of the people in the park are retired.
Right.
The people who have bought these new homes are not. So 10:30 is not a great time for them to get involved in town business.
Right.
One person, one councilor has tried to change it, Mr. Doherty, but everyone else, except for the mayor, but she doesn't get a vote, has decided, no, we'll keep it the same. And I think at some point there's going to be a problem over there. They need to change that to an evening meeting so that everyone can participate and not do anything else. Because the park in and of itself, they don't own the land. Sun Communities owns the land. So they don't pay real estate taxes. They pay it as part of their rent. That's all figured in.
Right.
But, it's a little disconnect. And I think it's important that those people who are moving in with families, children, and so forth, get an opportunity.
Whereas the city of Stewart, the meetings are in the evening.
Yeah, Jupiter Island's in the morning, but that's
a different
bird
right.
entirely.
It truly is. The county commission's during the day, but that's county business, and it's recorded.
And it needs to be. And they haven't had the same problems because we're not talking about people just going to the meeting. We're talking about people serving on the town council. And so if they have to serve on the town council, they need to take a day off at least per month in order to do so.
Right.
And I don't think that's and that's a very local government.
It's very local, and really an evening meeting is not. It's nothing that typically is going
to
go
late. It's an hour. Their
late.
meetings are an hour.
Right.
So not nothing that's a big deal.
So interesting things that are happening here in Ocean Breeze. Again, we're speaking with Tom Campenni from Friends and Neighbors. If you have a question or comment for Tom, I'm watching the Facebook live feed at my Facebook page, The Casey Ingram Show, and I'm always watching comments. Or give a call into the studio, 772-220-9788. That's 220-WSTU. So, Tom, that's Ocean Breeze, and that's something that the rest of the county we don't hear a lot about, but that's very interesting demographic change for the community.
Very. And, even Jupiter Island's going through a little controversy with where the dune line should be for building.
Okay.
And so they changed it in 2019. Since then, a couple of people have bought with the idea of building. And now they want to change it back. There's a zoning in progress. And I think that is a very interesting dynamic because we're not talking about thousands of dollars. We could be talking about millions of dollars. And that's something that's going to not hurt. Nothing hurts Jupiter Island.
Right.
But that's something that will, I think, leave scars on a pretty... on a community that prides itself on being very, not insular is not the right word, but very compact. They try very hard to get along with each other. You have a lot of type A personalities.
Right.
And they don't like to lose. So I think that's going to be an interesting development that I haven't seen covered anywhere else but Friends and Neighbors.
So with the dune line, how are they trying to change it, and how would that impact the community?
For years and years and years, they attempted not to build in a certain area past the dunes, and that was the Nat Reed type of people who wanted to preserve the beauty of Jupiter Island. And I know for most of us, we just don't see it.
Right.
But if you ever just go to the beach,
that's right.
Hope Sound Beach. It's a gorgeous beach. It's beautiful. People have done great work there. If you start to build, what happens to the dunes? What happens?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
And I don't know if there's a right or a wrong, but it's going to be impactful no matter what. So I think we should continue to keep our eye on it. For other reasons. And then if you cross the bridge and you go down Bridge Road, there's another project that's coming forth, and that's Discovery. And Discovery is another Jupiter Island, only in miniature. And if I'm not mistaken, and this could have changed, quarter acre is the smallest lot. And that's going to be $3 million to buy the lot.
Oh my goodness, just a lot.
So it's going to be, again, it's going to be very impactful. And I think
Does this back up to the Michael Jordan golf course that's
that's
going?
part of it.
Okay.
And also it backs up to Atlantic Ridge.
Okay.
And it's part of the Wellington, not Wellington,
The Polo Club
the Polo
that's out there?
Club,
Okay.
correct. And so the Polo Club's going to stay. The Atlantic Ridge is going to stay. They're going to. Part of their deal is to provide access to Atlantic Ridge, because if you ever tried to go to that state park, it's almost impossible to get in.
Okay.
Because it's just hard and difficult. And then if you take with that the Levesey project that the Guardians are working on, that will preserve south of Bridge Road quite a bit of property. And I think that's a great project, and more people should know about it.
I was going to say, is that the project that's keeping basically the green along Bridge Road for, if it's at 100 feet? Is that the same project?
That's
or
a
not?
little bit different, but
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
The Guardians are doing a great job there. And if we could save those headwaters and begin to save the South County, and I'm for development, but I'm not for dumb development.
Right. Right.
And we shouldn't be developing areas that are environmentally sensitive. And if most of those areas are wetlands, that's why they haven't been developed so far. Why would we even try and go through wars to develop?
And we've seen when you develop wetlands, then there's flooding and a whole host of other issues down the line.
So I think between Palmar, IRL South, and the Levesey, if we can preserve that part of the county, I think we've done a great thing for Martin County.
So that's something that's happening down in the Jupiter Island, Hope Sound area. The Guardians of Martin County are very actively working on preserving the nature, the environmental. That's something the Guardians really their conservatorship for
they're going to start
lands.
buying property. They're starting to collect money, and unlike so many things in Martin County where people are attempting to do things,
oh goodness, there's so much happening.
They will be much more successful. My thing is, if a project is being brought by a local developer, well, it may happen. Right. If it's being brought by someone from outside Martin County, it is going to happen. So we have a better tendency. But I think in general that is. And there's several golf courses that may be coming in, like Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan is going to build another one.
Really? Okay.
And I know people will say, "Oh, gee, another golf," blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you want to save green space? It may not be green space you go on, but it saves it from thousands and thousands of cookie-cutter homes
right.
at no expense to the county.
Right.
And it brings in tax money. And again, if you're trying to save land, I think those type of golf courses, we don't need hundreds of them, but if another 3 or 4 happen to come our way, I think that will be something that will help save the county from just overdevelopment.
That's interesting. Are they also putting homes around the golf courses?
No, there'll be cottages, a couple of cottages on each probably, so that people can stay when they come in. Those people demand nothing from the county.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I mean, it's nothing but tax dollars.
And the golf courses, are they private golf courses for those
there
communities?
There will be private golf courses,
okay.
Yes.
Because that makes sense, because overall, throughout the nation, golf is on the decline as
but
far
not
as
here.
popularity. But
we may end up, Martin County, if those golf courses are built, we may end up the center of golf in the United States.
Wouldn't that be something?
And it'll be, there's people eat in restaurants. They
stay at hotels if they happen to be visiting.
And all these places have employees.
Right.
Or we can have, thousands of new homes, which people will develop their land.
Right.
So do we want thousands of new homes in those areas where nothing is now? Because if agriculture can't sustain it, if ranching doesn't sustain it, we no longer have a citrus industry.
Right.
People are just not going to let land stay fallow forever.
No. They need to do something with it.
They will do something with it, and hopefully this will help in that respect.
So what about, let's move on to another community here just to the east, and that's Sewell's Point.
Sewell's Point, Sewell's Point is a great community. I looked at living there at one point. What it hasn't done is maintained its infrastructure, and they do have, very low taxes as municipalities go. But you have to maintain infrastructure, and it is, Governor DeSantis and the legislature want to give money to people, especially if you have septic to sewer projects. They just want to give money. And I think at some point, and I'm sure if you asked Senator Harold or Representative Oberdorf, who represents Sewell's Point, they would tell you that at some point this money's going to go away, and you're not going to get money to do these projects. Now that requires the applicant or Sewell's Point to put some skin in the game. So yes, you have to raise some tax money to do this. But Sewell's Point regularly is flooded. They're doing a project on South Sewell's Point now to raise the road. But at the end of the day, of all the municipalities, even Jupiter Island, I think they're the most susceptible to rising sea level. And again, that's another thing that the governor and the legislature wants to concentrate on. So I think the manager has done a great job, Michelle Berger. She's a great professional. I think the council needs to catch up with her.
And I think that they probably certainly will be. This has been in the forefront of Sewell's Point for a few years. Yes. They've talked about this, and
I hope they do. And they started. I mean, they did say they're going to borrow money to finish the South Sewell's Road project, but I think they have something. I think they have millions on their capital improvement list.
Okay, all right.
And there's no way to fund it. And what's worse, even if they spend the money to do the capital improvements, they have nothing for maintenance.
Oh my goodness!
So I mean, to be a municipality,
right? You have to.
Yeah, it's not
think
just
about these things.
It's not just a police department.
Right.
It's great. They have a great police department, but at the end of the day, we have a great sheriff's department.
We do.
We do. So it's not a gated community with a police department. It's a town with a police department, and it has certain responsibilities and Martin County, rightfully, I think, they don't want to spend unincorporated tax dollars in a municipality,
right?
Unless it's part of, it should be in the general fund.
Okay.
And Martin County has come and given them, they're going to put in sewers. They're going to be their utility once everything is hooked up. But Martin County has a while to go before they can hook them up.
Okay. With Martin County, there's a lot of different areas that need to be hooked up to sewers, and I know that they have hot spots that they've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
It's an expensive process, but
right.
You can only do so much at a time, and there's only so much money to go around.
That's correct.
So, but that's interesting, and I'm glad to hear that the county in general, we're looking at, we need to convert to sewers,
Oh, I think Martin County has done a fantastic job with that. City of Stewart, they've done a great job in getting all their basins. Anyone, I think at this point in the City of Stewart, anyone who wants to hook up can.
They can.
And once their septics fail, they will have to. But I think that's a wonderful thing. What Stewart has done a great job with that.
Well, City of Stewart, just to touch on that briefly, they're actually a shining example of getting compliance with the citizens to hook up to the sewer systems that they have. I mean, they made it so affordable that people were, of course we want to hook up because, first of all, it's going to improve your property value because you're not on septic anymore, but also it helps our water. We're all here on the river, and the St. Lucie River, and we all know about the pollutions and the discharges, so everybody in the City of Stewart, I mean, honestly, that municipality is a shining example of getting people to clean up.
You're right. They've done a great job, and now they're digging they have the new wells for water, and they're moving into a new public works, probably.
Yes.
So I think the City of Stewart is doing quite well. If you want to talk about them, we can.
We do, and I want to say Nyla Pipes, appreciate you tuning in. She said, amen, keep connecting, it'll help. And you were
Thank you,
absolutely right,
Nyla.
Nyla. She's with One Florida Foundation, and she has been just a superstar in trying to connect all the water issues in the state of Florida. So, and say this is a bigger issue than one area.
Correct.
And that's One Florida Foundation. Before we get into some other areas here, Tom, I want to let everybody know that next couple weeks we have some great shows coming up. Next week we're going to have Jim Stack in the studio with Eric Miller from Talk About Martin. We're going to be talking about globalization, the Agenda 21, where it is today, because now it's, I think, Agenda 30 and Vision 50, and there's some different components of it. And Jim Stack is, if you want to have an expert in on globalization, this is the man. So we're easily going to be flying through that hour and not going to be able to cover everything. But if you want to hear about what's going on, Jim Stack next week. The week after that's going to be a lot of fun. We talk about a lot of serious topics, but then we have some fun, and we are going to have rock and roll right here in the studio. Going to have Tony Stevens. He's one of the founding members of Foghat. He finally could fly out of the UK. Biden, thank you for finally opening the border. We can bring our UK friends back to America. And we're also going to have Billy Levesey from the Leveseys, and he's a rocker right here in South Florida. You can catch him really around Miami, Delray, Boca areas, and he comes up to Stewart every once in a while. But great rock band. The two of them are going to be in the studio. They're going to share with them some new music that they worked on during COVID. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and that's the following Wednesday. I also want to remind everybody the Martin County Fair is going to have the Carnival of Lights, and that is beginning November 26th. It'll be every weekend until Christmas. So it ends December 19th from 5:30 to 9. This is going to be fun. This is going to be the start of a new tradition. I'm just sure of it. It's going to bring Christmas right here to Martin County. Christmas trees all over. They have sponsors that have helped out, and there's going to be decorations, and it's going to be a fun little winter wonderland to bring your kids out to. And there'll be music and crafts and foods and rides and so many things that are going to be a lot of fun out there. Just $10 to see this, and if your children are 12 and under, free admission. So that's at the Martin County Fair. It begins for the weekend of November 26th and ends the weekend of December 16th. For more information, martincountyfair.com. And also need to remind people, if you need a place to store your boat or even work on your boat, Indiantown Marina is the place to go. They have a do-it-yourself and full-service boat yard, so it offers the best of both worlds. That's really unique around here. A lot of marinas don't allow you to work on your own boat, or you need to use their service people. Indiantown Marina, they can help you out no matter what. Electrical, mechanical, prep, shaft work, bottom painting, boat sitting, and so much more. You can reach out at 772-631-3272. That's 631-3272. And check out Indiantown Marina. And commercial mortgage, forbearances, working remotely, internet shopping, retail space, and rental income have been hit hard by COVID. If you're looking to restructure your debt, obtain financing or equity, commercial mortgage can help you out. Tim Mullen at Commercial Mortgage has been providing debt restructuring services since 2003, and he never charges a front fee, and all consultations are FREE free. Tim only gets paid if he provides you a debt workout. Looking for debt solution or financing? Give him a call at 772-872-6099, 872-6099, or visit commercialmortgagellc.com to schedule your free consultation. And boy, with COVID, there has been a lot of things that businesses have had to deal with, especially financially. So if you're looking to refinance or restructure, definitely give him a call. And finally, I have to give a shout out again to the Fish House Art Center. Folks, this is a really neat little fun shop down in Port Salerno. It's right on the water. They have a marina. They have ice cream and craft beers and flavors, all kind of little businesses in there. Local artists, of course. I can't recommend them enough. And Tom, have you been down there?
I have.
It's a lot of fun.
It is.
Really unique little place. And you can give them a call at 772-221-5482. If you want to see what it's about before you go out there, visit them online at fishhouseartcenter.com. Tom Campenni, friends and neighbors. Folks, if you have a question or comment for Tom, you can comment on my Facebook live feed at The Casey Ingram Show, or give us a call at the studio, 772-220-9788. 220-WSTU. Tom has been covering a lot of the municipalities here in the county with his Friends and Neighbors publication that has about 20,000 subscribers
Well, it's
now.
25,000 is our
Grown.
list
You got to
now.
update your website, Tom. You're 5,000
Wow.
behind.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
It's growing all the time. It truly.
Yeah, and as I said, I think we do a pretty good job for the limited amount of budget and
Yeah, how much do you
staff.
get paid, Tom? It's tough, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Honestly, I say this laughingly, but Tom puts a lot of dedicated, just volunteer work into this. And he started this paper up to reach his constituents when he was a commissioner in the city of Stewart. And he's continued on. And Tom, it's a lot of work that you put in. I don't know how you do it. And I thank you for it, by the way.
Well, if the municipalities and the county and the school board didn't go to YouTube, it wouldn't happen, I don't think, today.
Because it's hard to be everywhere, so now you
Right.
can sit and watch it at midnight
Exactly.
if you want. So, and
Exactly.
you probably are doing this at midnight to keep
No,
up.
I'm not
No?
a midnight guy. I'm a 4 o'clock in the morning
All
guy,
right.
but I'm not a midnight guy.
Early to bed, early to rise, as they say.
So,
But it's a wonderful publication. It comes out bi-weekly, and you can go to Friends and Neighbors of martincounty.com to subscribe, and it's free.
It's free. So if we're going to get into the city of Stewart, I think a lot of people have commented about development in the city.
Oh my goodness, yes. Hot
And
topic.
It's a very hot topic. And for the most part, I was in favor of it. And I'm still in favor if we're going to do it within the CRAs. There's only one CRA in the city, but in the CRA. I think going forward for the next 2 years or so, until some of these projects are built out, we should not be doing anything that the code doesn't already afford the landowner to do. I mean, if it's in the LDRs, it's in zoning, and it's in the future land use, and I think build to what that is. And for the most part, that would probably 15 units per acre. And if you can park it, great. I don't think, at least for the next couple of years, unless we're right downtown in the CRA or in the CRA north of the bridge, should we continue with the projects. Let's see how these projects assimilate into the city and the county. If there's going to be several thousand new residents, and there is, if they build out, let's wait and see.
There is a lot of building.
Because I don't know whether city will need more staff to handle it or not. You know, we've been assured by city that very minimal. At the same time, the tax dollars coming in will keep our existing residents low, and it's good for business, and it's good for the county, because let's face it, if you're a city resident, you pay county taxes.
That's right.
I pay almost as much to the county as I do to the city. So but at the same time, I can see why we should just take a step back, and I hope the commissioners will take a step back and not just approve new development that isn't already part of our existing code. And again, I do make the exception for within the CRA areas. I think we can, continue to do things there because they're meant to be dense. But on the periphery and on other areas, I think we need to wait at this point.
Are there any projects on the horizon that have kind of caught your eye that citizens really should keep their eyes open for in relation to this?
There's a few, and I don't want to give names because
Right.
names are easy. But if you look at your LPA for the city and you look at the CRB for the city, they will come there first,
Okay.
and before they go to the commission.
CRB, and that's one of the boards you sit on, the Community
correct.
Redevelopment Board. So
Correct.
a developer, somebody looking to build out, it will stop there first?
Well, yes. And we'll stop there first if it's within the CRA. If it's within the rest of the city, you will go to the LPA first.
Okay.
And I think you need to keep your eye on, especially the LPA. And then at that point, if it goes to the commission, which they all do, make your commissioners. And if you're not a city resident, it's nice. But as a former commissioner, you don't vote for me.
Right.
So I want to do what's best for my city residents. And while I want to take what you say, but if a city resident had told me something, I'd really, really take that to heart before a non-city
That's who you
resident.
work for. That's who's paying the salary of
So,
the city commissioners.
people who, the people who don't live in the city that bombard commissioners, and I'm not speaking for the commissioners, I'm only speaking from my own personal knowledge. It just sort of irks you because, I want to do what's best for my residents.
Right.
And if I think a project is good, I'm going to try to convince the residents that it's good, and that's just the way it should be. But again, stay on your toes, and if you see them the developer asking for something that's not of right, we're not looking to take away any person's right.
Like expanding the 4-story height limit. I mean,
yeah. I mean, do we? And again, I'm all for 4 stories. I'm not for 1 inch more.
Right. That's a stalwart in this county. So
Yeah.
The city doesn't fall under the county rules, so they technically could, but it's important to everybody here.
Yes, and I think that would change the character of the city and the county.
Right.
So I'm pretty, but you do realize in Indiantown, their code allows for higher buildings.
Well, and that's something you need to look at. It is a different community. It's more rural, more agriculture. We're sitting right here on the St. Lucie River. It's a different, it's just a different locale. It's a different vibe. There might be, it's up to Indiantown, but there might be a place in their industrial park where it's okay. It'll be for them to decide.
I don't know. I think it has to be a case by case basis.
And they're growing now that they can make their own decisions. The city of Stewart, the flavor, the character of the city is entrenched here.
Oh yeah, for the past 100 years,
right.
We've been a great city.
Absolutely. Well, and the housing is an issue too that you were talking about. It's a tough place to be for those commissioners, I think, to decide because I hear 2 things. First of all, there's building everywhere. It seems like everywhere we drive. I mean, Costco, of course, is one of the hottest topics in town as far as building out additional apartment units. But they're north of the bridge, they're south of the bridge, they're everywhere. They're out by Jensen Beach as you're driving out there. There's, more development going on. Corner of Canner and Indiantown, I understand there's more apartments going in there. I mean, it's just everywhere, whether it's county or city, which I will say a lot of folks are confused on those lines sometimes. But on the other hand, I also hear people going, "Oh my gosh, my rent was $1,200 and now it's $1,800." So
it's supply and demand.
It's a supply and demand thing. So if you're going to have to bring down the price of apartments, you have to add more because it is supply and demand. So it's a tough balancing act.
Well, the city of Stewart did something with a housing coalition. They gave them the land if they could build. It's about 2 acres out on US 1, north of the bridge, close to where their electronic sign is.
Okay.
And do I think that'll happen? Probably not. And the county doesn't want to build really affordable housing. They probably could do that, but it can't be done like 3 new houses, 5 new houses.
Right.
It has to be
a big project.
It has to be a big project. As you know, Stewart Housing Authority does have a project at East Stewart. It's and it was built at a different time.
Right.
But I think that is a good barometer of what should be in that community. Because if you try to build a bigger building, a 4-story building, there's not that, where do the people come from? Do we want to serve as Martin County residents? And especially if it's built in East Stewart, we want to service East Stewart residents. But if you put up 100 families, well, that's going to inundate East Stewart with people who are not from East Stewart or Martin County. And so is that best? I don't know.
Right.
I think there we should be encouraging duplexes, townhomes, things like that, so that people can buy them. They can have a rental unit attached, and it stabilizes the community. But, again, it's very interesting. California, where you would never think, California has very innovative zoning rules to have a ancillary unit on every home. So if you're now allowed, it's state law, to build an ancillary unit, and it doubles
right
the housing. And it also allows, if your parent is getting up there,
right.
you don't have to go through all kinds of rigmarole to put that ancillary unit on. If your young adult child is getting out of college, where does he live? Well, does he want to, do you want him to live in your basement or in his old room? Or perhaps he could have a start by you putting a garage, a apartment over a garage.
Right.
Or if you want to have a little extra income, to be able to afford to own a home.
Right.
Wouldn't it be great? And at the same time, how does it hurt anybody to have this done?
Right.
I think I think too many people think that this will hurt their property values. I don't think it will. I think it will enhance property values, and I think it will help.
Well, having a guest house here certainly enhances the property value. That I can attest to here in South Florida. So
yeah, I think it's we don't want too many visitors, but
right.
But I do think that's something that we should be looking into. I know that's a project of a couple of the commissioners for City of Stewart. I think in this respect, City of Stewart is much more innovative than the County Commission. I think the County Commission is still living about 1966, and let's build.
Right.
I think what they did with the Christ Fellowship, letting them build after they had told when they got authority to build their church out there. It was supposed to be a church campus. They were going to put church things on it. And 12 years later, it is now going to be housing development that's not tied into stores, that's not tied into education. I mean, it sits with the high school there.
Right.
But there'll probably be a fence up, so you're not going to be able to walk into the high school without going or driving to it and so forth and so on anyways. But we just need to stop thinking about what happened, after World War II. We're in a different world. I think what Knight Kiplinger is attempting to do out there in the what is it called now?
I know, he changed the
Prairie,
name. It was that. I don't know what it is now. I can't remember.
I think he's trying to do something else. I don't know if he's finding developers who still share his vision, but I think that will change Martin County when and if that.
It was a self-sustaining type of community.
Self-sustaining. It's a city.
Right, within itself, out there.
Within itself, and I think that's the kind of development we need to have if we want to save open land.
Right, and it had a lot of open land that they preserved in that community, as well as the stores and whatnot.
Correct.
I think they were even talking about possibly having a school out there. So.
Well, I think they will probably have a school. Now, whether it's going to be a charter school or a district school, I don't know.
Right.
That's something to be seen whenever it is. And as you know, Indiantown, right outside Indiantown, I don't think it's in the village, we'll be getting a new charter high school that's going to be run by our IRSC for the trades.
Right.
And I think that's great. I'm all for charter schools. I just think that school districts now don't really represent the views of all the parents, and I think charter schools and vouchers are something that would allow those parents to be able to send their children out.
Well, Tom, we just had our latest is Treasure Coast Classical Academy, and frankly, if there wasn't a need for it, they wouldn't have the students. But it's actually, I'm not even sure how many students are out there now, but I think they were around 1,000.
It must be close to 1,000 because they increased a grade per year.
Right.
I think that's great. I'm sure they're going to open, not Treasure Coast Classical, but I'm sure another will open.
Right.
There's a need. And I don't know whether the school board really understands the need. I know that a couple of the school board members understand that need. They think as parents, but if you think as an educator, then all you can see is like a man with the hammer, right?
Right.
You just keep
the nail,
putting that nail in, and I think we need to watch the school board and the school district.
Well, that's another topic you cover. Seeing we're talking about schools, let's go right into there. The school board, that is ever more important of a vote to be watching for, because they really are running the district. The superintendent is now hired, appointed, and so he works for the school board. So our school board members, it's super important that they represent what you want the school to represent, what your values. So, it's like any office. Whoever has the most votes wins.
Well,
so it's
and
important
it's
to watch.
also, a pretty big budgeted.
Oh, it's
office.
huge. It's huge. What is the budget now? I mean, was it
It's
360 million?
it's well over $500 million.
Now over 500 million. Holy moly.
With everything.
Okay. 500 million in the school district.
So, I mean, it's big time.
Yes, it is.
And I think they don't need to have to understand how to run a district as much as what's the policies that they hold dear.
Right.
I think, some school board members get too involved in the weeds, and I think there needs to be a balance. You have to read your packet and know what's going on, but at the same time, I don't think you need to micromanage. Otherwise, you have the wrong staff and superintendent. But I just think that individual schools should be given more autonomy.
Okay.
So that the parents should be involved in their children's schools.
100%.
And not be told, oh, you're not an expert. One school board member yesterday, when we were talking, I was on the redistricting committee, and the redistricting committee decided not to change elementary or junior high schools.
Okay.
To keep them as is because there was no overcrowding. And the last thing you want to do is move kids you don't have to move.
Right.
So that parents get upset, children get upset.
Right. They
And
do. Changing schools for kids is a very tough thing.
It is. And so we only did the high schools and very small because Martin County High, I think, was at 132%.
I have to confess, Tom, I didn't even know they were redistricting.
Well, yeah, they are. Hopefully the board will just keep our recommendations. But one school board member said, it's nice that we have committees, but we have to listen to the experts, the administrators.
So it was kind of like they dismissed the committee.
Well, at least he did.
It's okay. It's just one person.
That's just something. But I just think
Right.
that's the wrong attitude for a school board
Right.
member to have. The experts are not paying the taxes. The experts don't have the kids in school.
Right.
The experts who say. So we need to, and I don't think we need to be crazy about it, but we do need to make sure that our voices are heard.
Right.
And that's my biggest complaint with the school board.
Make sure the parents' voices are heard.
Yes.
We only have 4 minutes, and I was saving the best for last, and that's Martin County. But now we're down to only a few minutes, so we're going to have to pick the best of topics.
Really quick, I would like to see Martin County commissioners take a breath and stop spending money. And, they spend it in 25,000, 50,000, 75,000 lots. In fact, I haven't seen the meeting yet, but I heard that they're going to hire 40 new firefighters.
Oh, my goodness, 40 new firefighters.
So that's a big that's a big punch. I don't know why where are we going to put them? Why do we need them? And the thing is, they're getting it through the SAPER grant, which is a grant for 3 years that pays the salary.
But then,
the salary.
what happens when the grant ends?
Now, of course, many of the current firefighters that we have will probably be retired or leave, so they'll probably work their way in. But at some point, how safe do we need to be?
Right.
Between the sheriff and the fire rescue, that's like 55 or 56% of the budget. What about stormwater? What about roads? Everything else, parks.
Right.
And I don't mean golf courses. I mean, parks that people actually want to use consistently. So I think I know people don't like her, but Commissioner Hurd, you know where you stand with her for the most part.
Right.
And you know that she's not going to spend money for the most part. So, again, it was a 4-1 vote. Commissioner Hurd voted
Dissented.
against taking the SAPER grant. I wish more commissioners would be more thoughtful, would realize that it's our money, and that we can not do their budget as they did last time on the fly.
Right.
And just pull programs off after they had approved them.
Right. Absolutely.
Bad planning.
Amy Pritchard, appreciate you tuning in. She had mentioned, too, that one of the school board members, she felt like he was mocking the parents. And she also says, how about the waste management raising our taxes 25%?
Well, Amy, remember, Waste Management didn't do it. The county commission did when they threw out all the other bids and did what they did.
Right, they did, and Amy mentioned that Hetherington voted against that, and that is true. She was the one person that did.
She was the one person that did vote against that.
And, Eric Miller, who's on with Talk About Martin, we've talked about this a little bit. The county's required new trucks for waste management. You had to have these.
Well, I don't know if that's bad, because they will be much more environmentally friendly. So, but they didn't require just for waste management. Everyone had that as part of their bid.
So, and that, of course, that's part of the expense if you have to replace your fleet.
And Waste Management is a good company, but they were only the most expensive, because I think they knew that the RFP did not represent what the county commissioners really wanted.
Right. Well, Tom Campenni, I wish we had more time to talk about the county, but we have run out of time. You can subscribe to his publication at friendsandneighborsofmartincounty.com. It's a bi-weekly publication, and you can also contribute to it, and he also takes letters to the editors. So if you don't want to be a contributor and you just have something to say to Tom, send him a letter. So that's wonderful. And next week we're going to have Jim Stack on globalization, and then don't forget, we're going to be rocking it out the following week with the Levesey and Tony Stevens of Foghat.
Forbearances, working remotely.